Welcome back to this week's episode of the Rock Solid Sports Podcast. Today is Tuesday, September 17th. And boy, did those Falcons come back last night.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch. Usually we don't pull through in those situations, so it was actually nice to see them do what they should do.
Awesome late night drive, a late night game. It was awesome to watch. Over the weekend, UFC in the Sphere, some college football, obviously, and then, a whole weekend of NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Just back to normal. All right, well, let's get into it.
We gonna make it, baby.
Rock solid. Rock solid. Rock solid. Rock solid. Rock solid sports.
All right, welcome back to this week's episode of the Rock Solid Sports Podcast. Before we start, we are brought to you by Slove. Slove is not just Colorado's next and up-and-coming clothing brand. It is a clothing brand who aims to bring a movement globally. When you wear a Slove piece, you are not just wearing a piece of clothing, you are elevating your style and representing what love looks like. I'm looking at their website right now. A bunch of clothes still on sale. Some perfect sweatsuits right in time for fall. T-shirts, hats, the keychains, whatever you guys are looking for, beanies, fall season coming up. So make sure you guys go check them out. Go check them out on Instagram at sluv.co, that is sluv.co, or go visit their website at sluv.us, that is sluv.us. All right. Well, I guess where do we want to start at this weekend? I mean, I guess we can get the easy part out of the way. UFC in the Sphere.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch much of it, but based on everything I saw, it looked amazing.
No, yeah, it was a really cool environment, especially with the Independence Day, Mexico Independence Day going on. It was awesome. The background was really, really cool. The only thing I bet watching it in there was insane. Watching it at home, a little bit different just because usually like the little pre-fight promo videos they do beforehand were like on the Sphere, but they weren't on your screen. You were like watching it on the Sphere. That was the only thing I didn't really like, but other than that, it was really cool. They had a different like setting for like the prelims, the main fights, and then like the real mains. They had different like screens, and like literally when the last two fighters came out, they were like hollow projected onto the screen. So that was really cool to watch. Last two fights were just boring, though. I think that was kind of the only issue. It was a lot of just control time on the ground. Both fighters, Shevchenko literally put Grasso, I think, on the ground, and that was 90% of the fight was just her on top of her, just holding her down, getting out of every submission that Grasso tried to put on her. So that was pretty much how that fight went. The next fight, Merab kind of did the same thing. So not the best fights, but a really cool like environment, and it'd be one of those things that like I wish I was there, but I'm sure they're going to be back given how that went.
I don't know if they will. Dana said that it costed them a little too much money.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
And then the card. I guess that was my only really notes. Is the card? I guess didn't live up to the hype. Again, I didn't really get to watch it, but Sean losing, especially there and how big he's gotten. I know a lot of people were disappointed there. But yeah, and then it looked literally like Mortal Kombat in the background. Like it was awesome. The screen was like moving while they were fighting. So that was awesome. And then the only other thing I saw was maybe the nastiest cut I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, the whole face like slicing in half. Pretty much.
That was disgusting. If you haven't seen it, go look at it at your discretion. It's disgusting, but it is one of the worst cuts I've seen in UFC.
The chunk of her head was just moving around.
And I feel like we said that not too long ago this year that we saw another cut that was one of the worst cuts we've seen.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but it was someone I hate.
Yeah.
I hate them so much. They're so gross. They make me squirm.
Do you think this one was worse this past weekend?
100%. That shit was. I saw a glimpse of it and immediately was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good on that shit."
It did.
If someone has to push my face back together, it's probably the last time I'm ever fighting.
Yeah.
I think a couple of the announcements after the fight was obviously Michael Chandler's now fighting Oliveira. I think that's in December, I believe, late December, something like that. And then John Jones fighting apparently what might be one more time.
Yeah.
Kind of sad for the MMA community for that one, but at least we get to see one more John Jones fight instead of zero. So other than that, I don't know when the next UFC card is. I haven't even looked, to be honest with you. It really doesn't matter. Once we get there, we'll get there. But all right, well, I guess we can go backwards because I guess we got to talk about one college football game. the Rocky Mountain Showdown.
Yeah.
Both of our predictions got shot down, which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
We got some comments on Instagram and TikTok, and hopefully didn't hit a home run. Nope. Okay. Sorry, we're also watching the Dodgers game right now, mostly just me. But, yeah, Rocky Mountain Showdown. We had our predictions. Both of us picked CSU. That didn't go well. Like I said, got a couple comments on Instagram, TikTok, I forget which one, but they said our predictions were rough. So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the game that you watched?
I mean, I think we might have just seen it's one of two things. Either CU figured it out and played well against a worse team, or CSU really is just that bad, and they just can't really get anything done. I remember before the game, I threw in an over bet on the game because I was like, there's no way this is a defensive showdown between these two. And then Colorado just shut down CSU for the entire game, and they kind of had their way with them. But it was just kind of dominance from the very beginning of it. There was like a second there for the first few drives where you're like, oh, we got a good game, and then that quickly went away.
Yeah, quickly went away. CU, like you said, dominated. Shador had 310 yards and 4 touchdowns. Travis Hunter, 13 receptions, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Insane.
Yeah.
He has his own touchdown to interception ratio, like stat that they show on the screen,
Jesus.
which is insane to me. But, yeah, I mean, it was a overall dominating game by CU. I kind of agree with you. I think what we learned is CSU is just worse than I guess we thought they were.
Yeah, I think I see brighter things ahead for them going into the Pac-12. I think being in a better conference might lead to better recruits, and if they can kind of get a nice little environment going, I mean, in a couple of years they could be a solid Pac-12 team. I think just right now they just got too many guys that are just kind of mediocre to low talent. You got Torrey Holden, who's really, really good, but he was banged up for 90% of that game, so he really wasn't doing much. But, yeah, I think we just have a all-star team of Colorado right there going against kind of the lower rung. But you were there.
Big brother, little brother.
Yeah, how was your experience?
It was fun. I mean, CSU has a beautiful stadium. If anybody has been to it, I think it's a couple years brand new. It's not like totally old. Canvas Stadium, right, kind of in the middle of campus. Yeah, it looks like a NFL stadium. Like, to be honest with you, like the exterior of it, it's not once you get inside. But environment was insane. I mean, I sat practically where like all the CSU like athletes were. So it was mostly CSU fans around me. I'll say that for sure, especially the person I was sitting directly next to, who I'm sure didn't enjoy the game as much as I did. But yeah, it was, again, great environment. I got chills literally when they ran out of the tunnels, the boos, the highs, the lows, and it's fun. I mean, I haven't been to like a college football tailgate in I think like almost 2 years, so it was just really fun to be a part of it again. And yeah, see a decent game. It could have been worse. It could have been better. But, I mean, at least we saw CU put up 28. I wanted to see Travis Hunter make a play. He made a lot. Yeah. So that was the benefit for me. Sorry. And other than that, yeah, Shador played a great game. The other wide receivers, I forget who scored the other one for Colorado. Yeah. Wester, I think. Something like that.
He had 2.
He had 2 as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, great game. I think I left like a tad bit early, but yeah, it was exciting to watch, and I was glad just to be a part of it. What was your thoughts on the game?
I mean, definitely not as close as I thought it was going to be. Right before the game started, I took the CSU plus 5.5, but Buffalo's to win, and obviously that didn't happen. But, I mean, I think that's exactly how the game should have went, and whether it's what we thought how it was going to go, I think that's what should have happened.
Yeah. It should have been flipped from last year. Last year should have been this result, and this year should have been last year's result. Yeah, just switching the home stadiums and whatnot. But
I agree.
I guess CSU did also lose, I think, like 2 players to the draft this year that were pretty good. That tight end and that defensive edge rusher. So, but yeah, I don't know. It was fun to watch. Colorado, I do not know who they play next week, but we'll get there when we get there. They got to pick it up at least a little bit. They looked good this week. They have to keep that momentum going, because if the second they slow down, the noise is going to start getting loud again for them. So, but yeah, it seemed like they got a lot of compliments, I guess. And what was your thoughts on the post game when Shador didn't shake? What's his name?
Braden, right?
Pelosi.
Yeah,
Fowler Nicolosi. There we go. Yeah, what was your thoughts on him not shaking, Shador not shaking his hand?
I get it. I understand like the aspect of kind of standing on business when someone's kind of talking shit to you. I get it, but also you just beat him. You threw the biggest diss at him you possibly could. Just walk up to him. I'd say just walk up to him, shake his hand, move on. No reason to like yell in his face about it. Like he's not gonna give you any pushback either. So it's just kind of like I don't really understand why you would do that. But like I said, I understand the kind of like I'm not just gonna let it slide just because you're trying to shake my hand. So I get the standing on business aspect of it, but also maybe just be like, all right, whatever. Shake his hand, get going. Everybody talks shit in a rivalry. That's just kind of how shit shakes in these games. So I don't know. I think that's stuff you kind of have to brush off your shoulder. Just shake his hand, say good game. You beat the shit out of him. Like you don't need to do anything else to him.
Caden, what's your thoughts on that interaction?
I mean, I agree. It didn't really bother me as much as it bothered, I guess, some people. Like I get it why he didn't do it. Same thing as a rivalry. He was talking a lot of shit online and should have didn't want to shake his hand. I do agree. Just to avoid all conflict, he could have just shook his hand. He could have just shook his hand and talked some shit.
Mm-hmm.
But both. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It didn't really bother me.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like you said, CU, CSU. When are they ever going to play again?
Next year.
2029.
No,
really?
Well, yeah, that. I mean.
Yeah, I think they don't. I think it said on the broadcast they don't play till 2029.
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't know that.
I mean, Shedeur and Mr. Fowler, Nicolosi.
Oh, they'll never play.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter.
That's true. No, I kind of agree with you. I had no issue with it at all. I thought it was actually kind of funny. I obviously didn't get to see it. I guess from the TV angle, so I got to see it on Twitter later. I think the next day. So I thought it was funny, just because. Yeah, when you talk shit and you get the shit beat out of you, I feel like, maybe it's not the worst thing to get kind of humbled. Mm-hmm. But again, Shedeur is he's going to play in the future in the NFL, most likely, unless barring anything crazy. Mm-hmm. He's going to be in the NFL. So, I mean, maybe he has bigger fish to fry. Yeah. But, again, I don't see an issue with it. I thought it's kind of comical. And that's what rivalries are about, like you said. So, that sucks that they're not going to play till 2029. I just got told that. So
yeah, I mean, maybe they play next year and then they take like a break, but I think it's because of them going to the Pac-12 and like the conference shifts and all that.
What they should do, they should play it next year at Bronco Stadium because they had one matchup at CU, one at CSU, and then they should just cap it off, maybe like week 0. Yeah. Figure it out.
Or if they're going to do it every 4 years, just at Bronco Stadium every 4 years.
Yeah,
it's like the Olympics.
Yeah, the Olympics for
new class
shitty Colorado football.
Yeah. No, that's the only negative that comes from all this realignment is losing some of these rivalries. Like, it's ridiculous that two teams in the same state don't play each other.
Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, I think, was one of the big ones.
Yeah, it's like I don't see a reason why we can't work that out. These guys are already playing like Northern Nowhere State University. Like, we could probably switch that game for their rivalry game.
It was Northern Illinois University. That's what I want. No, I'm just kidding. No, I agree with you, though.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to back to Thursday. I was going to say Sunday, but we got to talk about Thursday Night Football last week. Bills-Dolphins. I think we're all going to have the same note on this game, which is Tua might just need to lay down.
Yeah. No, he definitely needs to just learn how to slide.
Why? Why did he do that?
I don't know. He went head first into Damar Hamlin.
Yeah.
Jesus. I don't know. But it was a rough game for the Dolphins even before Tua went down. Tua was having a really bad game.
100%.
Was that 3 interceptions before he even exited the game? Probably would have been more. Dolphins are just kind of, you never know what you're going to get with them. It looked like from what I was seeing when the game was going on that the Bills were just dropping the guy who was covering Tyreek by like 10, 15 yards and taking away the deep ball, which I feel like is almost like Tua's first or second read 90% of the time. And so I think taking that away from him kind of shook him a little bit. And the Bills are also very good. So I think we're just looking at a team that's just better than the Dolphins. I think if Tua stays in, I think maybe he gets into a little bit of a rhythm and this game gets a little closer than it was. But I don't see the Bills losing this game.
No, there was no way they lost this game.
Yeah, so there's some interesting things to take away. Tua, he's got to do some reevaluating for sure.
Life, not even football.
Yeah, no, I think my personal stance is he should be done. Or he should be like, if I get one more, I'm done. Like, kind of put a cap on himself right now. Because I don't know. It's just it's not the concussions that are scaring me. It's the twitching and
The fencing.
like doing all that when you get knocked out. Like that's what scares me personally. It's not like he's getting popped and then walking off the field, grabbing his head, and then being like, "Oh, I got a concussion." He's literally passing out, and like you said, fencing. So it's a scary situation, and it's one of those hard decisions. I heard Nate Burleson talking about one of his players he played with, Javid Best or whatever, talking about how it's the worst way you have to end your career because 2 days after you feel fine and you're in the best shape of your life, but you have to like quit playing. So it's a tough decision, but I think you got to think about future. So I could see him maybe he's definitely going to play. He's not going to retire.
No.
But I think he should probably tell himself that if I get one more like that, I got to be done.
Or you should slide more for sure.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I mean, I if it was me personally, I would be done. I would have been done last time.
Yeah, explain the science for people that don't know about like concussions and how it works in your brain and your skull.
What do you mean? Like what happens?
Yeah.
Like a concussion is whenever your brain smacks your skull.
And it
So, like,
moves.
Yeah, so like it moves, and not every time you get a concussion, that what your spine that keeps your brain. I don't know if it's your spine. That's crazy. That keeps your brain stable gets looser and looser. So now every time you get concussed, it's just more likely to get concussed, which is like everyone was saying. It didn't even look that bad. Like he just ran into his arm, but when you have so many concussions, especially that bad, I feel like it's just bound to happen now. And like you said, the severity of his concussions is what's scary, not the concussions. And I'm not going to tell him what to do. Like, I don't matter. But like I said, if it was me, fuck that. That shit's scary. You don't mess with the brain.
And you're already like you already got paid a lot of money. So
Yeah.
like the financial part isn't,
No.
the part that he should be
Yeah.
even thinking about. He got, especially because it's going to be like most of it's going to be guaranteed, right?
I think so.
Especially with his new contract that he signed. So
It's pride.
yeah, it's pride and I guess just wanting to play football.
Yeah, I
you
get
know?
that. But
He's been
He
doing
might
that his
just
whole
have
life.
to start playing like Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett doesn't try to move
he-
the ball
he
field
falls.
anymore. He just
Falls over,
down.
yeah.
Like if it's going to be a liability, but it's like if someone's getting real close, there's going to have to be a guy on the field that just goes drop and like tells him to just go down.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if he wants to keep playing, he has to completely avoid contact, pretty much, probably for the rest of his career. Because if he gets one more, I don't think that decision will be in his hands anymore. I think someone's going to tell him that he has to be done.
Yeah, like a doctor.
Yeah.
No, really crazy and ironic that the guy he ran into was DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah.
DeMar Hamlin ran kind of similarly
Yeah.
to when he hit T. Higgins,
Mhm.
and I think I said we knew one person was going to fall over. We didn't know who, but
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
yeah, DeMar Hamlin, he made it. But yeah, I guess my only other notes from this game is James Cook. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
three touchdowns, one receiving, two rushing. He had 79 yards on the ground or 78 yards on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
He was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I played against him in fantasy, so I really didn't like
I
that.
played him in fantasy on my team. That's great.
Fuck you. And I had Tyreek Hill on the other side, and he did absolutely nothing. One catch for 12 yards. God, that sucks. Josh Allen looked great. Like you said, the Bills look like kind of a wagon right now. I mean, I know we're only 2 weeks in, but the Bills look really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have I forget who they play this week. I think it's a decent matchup.
he had
They
3
have-
receptions.
They have the Jaguars this week.
24 yards.
So
Yeah,
I
I
can see
think-
them beating the Jaguars this week for sure.
I think that losing Stephon might have actually helped him. I think in my head, the way I see it is, I feel like when he had Stephon Diggs on his team, he was so worried about trying to get him the ball because he knew how he like kind of acted and was when he wasn't being targeted too much. And so I think not having that and Josh Allen being able to really look at other weapons and do all that, I think it really helps his game. And I think he's going to start getting more comfortable with that too because the game against the Cardinals, he ran for like 70-something yards or something like that. And then in this game, I think he ran for 3. So it's like, I think if he can get more comfortable with his receivers and kind of be able to just look at different options, I don't know. I think it's going to work out in their favor, and that's something that could really help. Yeah. And definitely turning the tide a little bit of what everybody thought because everyone, I think, would believe that they were going to be kind of like a playoff team, but not like how they have been in the past years. This might be the best Bills team we've seen. I know it's early, but if they keep playing like this, I don't see how that doesn't continue.
Like I said a couple weeks ago, I think when we did the preview, the last contender in the AFC to rebuild was the Chiefs, and they rebuilt and they won a Super Bowl the year quote unquote rebuilding. Good for the Bills. They look really good, and they're shocking some people right now. So see if they can keep it up against the Jaguars next week. All right, let's move down to Dallas, where the Cowboys has played their second home game since last year's playoff, where they both they gave up 40-plus points in both games to the Saints. What a game for New Orleans. What a start of the season so far for New Orleans. Tell me your thoughts initially for both sides.
The Cowboys just look shaky. Like, I don't know how to explain it. When they're on, and when they're off, they're the worst team in the NFL, it looks like. It's just they have such a hard time doing it. Dak didn't have that great of a game. Alvin Kamara balled out. So did Derek Carr. Picked up Derek Carr on fantasy this week. Was really excited about that. Dropped Deshaun Watson for reasons. And then picked up Derek Carr, so he helped out. But, yeah, I think the Saints just overpowered them. I think the Saints will kind of slow down as the year goes on, but right now they're really hot. Like, I could see them doing this for the next, 3-4 weeks. And then as the season goes on, wear and tear, I think they'll kind of slow down a little bit. But they're explosive, and they know who their guys are, and Derek Carr's finally kind of getting back into his rhythm again to where he can actually kind of ball out. So I'm excited to see how this team does. It's an interesting team to kind of see break the fold, and honestly, it makes the NFC South look a lot more stacked than it did when the season was about to start.
NFC South looks good right now. Rashid Shaheed had a big game. He's very explosive. 4 receptions, 96 yards, 1 touchdown. Kamara, if you guys had him on fantasy, he probably won this week. 44-something points, something like that. He was great. Like you said, Derek Carr was great. He's been great this whole start to the season. And then, the Cowboys looked – maybe they got their playoff game out of the way.
Yeah.
Maybe this was their playoff game. And I don't know, in terrible logic, but maybe they, a loss early in the season like this puts your team in perspective, and, they're going to have to change some things. And I think the first thing that should change is Mike McCarthy, because he's fucking terrible. He's terrible at his job. Dak honestly wasn't that bad. 293, 1 touchdown. He did have 2 picks though. Looks good for the Saints. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean the slates look great for the first 2 games. Derek Carr looks amazing. I think
Is he the leader for MVP right now?
he might be. I think that's been my biggest takeaway so far is how Derek Carr looks, which I don't think anyone expected, especially after last year. But I mean, when you have your running back score 3 touchdowns, it's crazy.
Makes it easier.
Yeah, exactly. So
who would have thought the 2 MVP candidates would have been 2 quarterbacks out of the NFC South right now? Let's move on to that game. Tampa visiting the Lions this past weekend. Baker Mayfield looked decent, not great, but he did look decent. And the Buccaneers got the win over the Lions in Detroit, which was huge. Tell me about that, because, that was a playoff matchup last year, and the Lions kind of got away with that game. They did end up winning it by, I think, 10 points or something. Yeah. But it was close for the most part. And now the Buccaneers look really good, and the Lions have maybe some questions to answer.
Yeah, you could maybe factor in the fact that they had kind of a really rough game against the Rams, which kind of maybe carried over into the week after. But I think the Bucs are just solid. I think when the Bucs are on, they're one of the better teams in the NFL because of how Baker is so connected with his receivers. It's unbelievable how him and Godwin and Evans probably going to have another plus 1,000 year. So, I don't know. It's just a hard team to stop. The Lions, I don't know what to say. I feel like I can never really tell how they are until the very end of the year. So, I'm excited to see their progression throughout the year. But the Bucs are a team that I think is really just carrying what they did last year into this season pretty seamlessly. And that's going to make them really hard to take down.
Thoughts for you, kid?
Yeah, rough game for the Lions for sure. I can't. 55 attempts is insane. But, when you're not getting any help from your running backs, it kind of makes sense.
Jameer Gibbs didn't play bad.
No, I feel like they almost need to pick one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's hurting them or helping them.
I understand the 2 running back system, but it's you need to pick a guy and say, this is our running back 1.
Yeah.
And this is who's going to get most of the carries. And then this guy's going to come in when he's a little bit more tired. Which, honestly, I think Jameer Gibbs is the obvious choice for that. I think David Montgomery's good.
Yeah.
I just think that Jameer's way more explosive. And, like, if he gets that corner, he can really take off on a lot of people. And then Montgomery's really good in the red zone. So I think they do have that 1-2 punch like that. But I do think they need to be like, this is your role, this is your role. And then if one of you guys gets tired, we can always switch. But this is what we're doing. And also just for betting purposes, I keep trying to bet anytime score, and I have to like roll the dice between these two, like who's gonna go in, because like it's so back and forth, and I feel like Dan Campbell at some point needs to relax, and like I know he loves calling his game or whatever, but I think what happened at the end?
I think he admitted that he lost in this game. I forget exactly what like the time and score and everything was, but Dan Campbell going for it on some down that you're just not supposed to, and it cost you once again, just like it cost them going to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, because if they in that game against 49ers, if they would have just kicked the field goals when they had the opportunities to, they would have won the game.
And it's good to be aggressive, at some points, but at some point it becomes a lot too. And Dan, I think he admitted it himself, so I don't think we really have to get on him and be like he was the one who lost in this game, because he already said he was, but. I think the skill players kind of really showed out this game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 11 catches, 119 yards. Chris Godwin, 7 receptions, 117 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans, 42 yards, only 3 catches. Jamison Williams, 79 yards on 5 catches. Just explosive. I mean, they got guys that just know how to play football. I mean, that's like the best part. It's just skill guys that are so athletic and just dominant every year. Mike Evans is just amazing, and he wasn't even that impressive, but like I just know he's that big of a difference maker, where his presence just allows Chris Godwin to go for 7 receptions and 117 yards. It's pretty special. Tampa Bay 2-0 going into week 3. That makes 2 teams in the NFC South 2-0, and then what? The Panthers suck. They're 0-2, and then you guys are 1-1 still. We'll get to that later. All right, we move on to Green Bay, where my Indianapolis Colts looked fucking terrible. Anthony Richardson looked god-awful. 204 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. That was bad. Josh Jacobs, 32 carries on the ground with Malik Willis at the helm.
Jesus.
I cannot believe that the Colts got embarrassed this bad by Malik Willis. DeForest Buckner got hurt. That wasn't great. What I really learned is the Colts cannot stop the run to save their life.
Yeah, no, especially with someone as explosive as Josh Jacobs is. If you can't stop him, he's going to have a day, and that's obviously why they gave him the ball so much. Malik Willis maybe threw off the game plan a little bit. Maybe they weren't exactly prepped for him to be in there. Maybe that had something to do with it. Anthony Richardson, I don't know. Like you said, he had a rough game, but I think at the end of the day, we kind of talked about it last week. He still is on like his 5th or 6th game ever. So it's kind of like, I still think there's a little bit of time, but if we get to halfway through the season, you've played half a season in the NFL and 4 games last year, get it together. Like I think he's way better than that, because he's shown flashes of being better, but maybe he just needs to get a little bit more comfortable, and they'll be able to kind of get it done. But wasn't able to watch too much of this game, but I saw
there was nothing to watch.
Yeah, Malik Willis looked like he was running all over the place.
Malik Willis didn't do too bad. I mean, he also rushed for 41 yards, which is pretty good for him. He only threw the ball 14 times, which is the perfect. That's what the Packers, went into that game wanting to do. Then Anthony Richardson, 29.1 QBR. That's just god awful. I think just the overall thing is they couldn't stop the run, and I think Caden mentioned it to me right when I got back from Fort Collins. I think you looked at the possession time and was like, if they just didn't have the ball for it seemed like the whole game, that the Colts might have had a chance to actually win this game.
Same thing as last week.
Yeah, literally same exact thing as last week. So, rough game for Indy. We have hopefully a chance to bounce back at home against Chicago this week. We better, because I don't know how many more chances we're going to get. And I don't want to be the last winless team. I don't think we'll have to worry about that with the Panthers being existent, but
it's insane because it's literally almost the exact same possession time as last week, 40 minutes to 20 minutes.
Yeah, that just can't happen.
And it's a touchdown game, same thing.
Same thing, yep. Did you have any thoughts on that game besides that?
I mean, you don't want to put it on one person, but if Anthony Richardson doesn't throw 3 interceptions, you guys win that game most likely. But
Josh Jacobs also did fumble on the goal line, which was like
Yeah.
a huge thing. Like they would have probably won by 2 touchdowns if Josh Jacobs didn't fumble on the goal
Shout
line.
out to the center throwing up on the ball.
Yeah, yeah, that was crazy. Yeah,
Malik Willis out and running it.
the center threw up on the football before he hiked it, or before he snapped it, and Malik Willis literally just ran with the ball and didn't throw it because there was puke on the ball.
Yeah.
And that's one of the craziest. I've never seen that before. And apparently they asked Matt LaFleur, like the refs, after that. They were like, "If that happens again, do you want us to stop the game?" And he was like, "Yeah," which is just crazy. But I couldn't even tell like when it was initially happening. So like when they showed the replay, I was like, "That is disgusting."
That'd be embarrassing if I was a center and be like, "Timeout on the field. Number 67's tummy hurts."
Yeah, he's puking. Just a rough game for the Colts, but hopefully we can bounce back against Caleb Williams and the Bears this week. So we will see about that. Let's move on to another AFC South team losing. The Jets going into Tennessee. Aaron Rodgers getting his first win as a New York Jet. I guess technically you can count his last year's first initial game because he did start. Didn't finish, but he did start, and they did win that game. He just sadly tore his ACL or his Achilles. But he did get his first official win, I guess, as a New York Jet in Tennessee, beating the Titans 24-17. I didn't really get to watch most of this game. All I've heard is just bad things about Will Levis.
Yeah, I didn't see much of this game either, but I did see the play.
Yeah.
Where he's scrambling outside of the pocket and kind of does the same thing he did last week, where he kind of just like tried to like make a play out of nothing, try to look a little Mahomey out there, and fumbled the ball backwards, fell on his face, and
A little Raioli.
yeah, and then the Jets picked it up, and that was kind of wraps because they were on like the 10 or something, like it was very close. But the coach was pissed because it's like, you're a grown man. Don't make these mistakes. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was
like,
Brian Callahan. I think that's his name.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But the Jets are still looking kind of
Shaky.
I don't know. Titans aren't a team that you should really be in that tight of a contest with.
Well, when you're going on the road, it's not a bad thing to win by a touchdown.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. Their defense, I think, still has some questions.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Do you have any thoughts on this game? If you need to sneeze, just sneeze.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate the permission. No, that's all I was gonna say is the Jets beating them by only a touchdown just proves a little worrisome for the Jets. I think still, Aaron Rodgers with not the best game again. I don't know.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers might have been really ready to go last year. Like last year, he might have that would have been their year.
Yeah.
But it may be he's a year older. He's got the leg problems to deal with. It's maybe not even close to the same guy that was signing with them last year. So
And Hassan Reddick, they're probably like one of their best defensive players besides Quinn Williams and Sauce Gardner. Just hasn't played.
Mhm.
Don't know why. He's like the only player still holding out. So I don't get that.
I think he wants to get traded.
But you're losing. He's losing like $500,000 every time he doesn't play.
Yeah.
That's the money he's holding out for. And
Yeah.
if he does get a deal with the Jets or with wherever he goes, they still take that money out. Like it's not coming to you.
Yeah.
And that they can probably really use his help. Calvin Ridley looked really good for the Titans. So did Tony Pollard. I thought they both looked good. Other than that, again, didn't really see much of this game. But yeah, the Jets have some question marks that they're gonna have to play better going forward for sure. Let's go to Minnesota.
Big one. Minnesota.
Where the Minnesota Vikings also improved to 2-0, beating the San Francisco 49ers by 6. I think this is the 49ers still have not won in Minnesota since like I forget when they said, but it was a long time ago. I forget again how long it was, but I think the first thing we have to talk about is Sam Darnold breaking history. I think he's like one of like 3 or 4 quarterbacks ever to throw like a 97-yard touchdown, which is crazy. There's players like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Dan Marino, John Elway, Troy Aikman. It's one record they'll never have over Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Sam Darnold has been looking great, though, start off the year. And, yeah, Justin Jefferson is Justin Jefferson. And he might be banged up now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is
Quad
not good.
concussion.
Yeah, it'll be rough. I mean, he's just kind of injury prone, so it really depends on how he rehabs, comes back. But I don't know, man. I think as long as Sam Darnold keeps slinging it like he is, this team could be a problem.
This division might be wide open.
Yep. And I think it's pretty much more or less the same team from last year. So pretty much if Darnold can fill in that Kirk Cousins role, then they might have a chance to be a really, really solid team. And that's horrible news for J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, that's true. And Aaron Jones looks great.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson obviously looks great before he got hurt. Hopefully he's not too injured. You said quad contusion.
Yep.
So that's hopefully not out for too long.
No.
On the other end, I think what's his name, Jordan Mason.
Mm-hmm.
I think his first name is Jordan, correct?
It is.
He looks good.
Yeah.
I think that is really going to help the 49ers once CMC comes back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to make some decisions about a possible split backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know who's going to get most of the touches, but if it's going to help Christian McCaffrey stay on the field longer, that might be something you look into. Brock Purdy, 319 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Just another Brock Purdy game.
Yep.
And one of his touchdown was to George Kittle. I think George Kittle's stock goes crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
With half their Debo's out, Christian McCaffrey obviously out. Brandon Ayuk has been non-existent to start the year off. I think if you have George Kittle in fantasy, or just if you're a 49ers fan, George Kittle's stock is really high right now.
Oh, yeah.
Any thoughts on this game for you, Caden?
I think the Vikings are looking a lot better than probably anyone expected, especially with Sam Darnold back there.
Most definitely.
I think that's the biggest thing I took away from this game, and maybe the same thing with the Jets, that the 49ers, maybe they have some question marks. Jordan Mason, though, holding it down for Christian McCaffrey, that's for sure. Me and Mogaff had this conversation about fantasy, and I was like, you expect him to do it twice in a row, and he kind of did. So
any running back in that Kyle Shanahan
that's fair
offense usually serves pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. The Vikings are impressing people a lot right now. It's impressing me. So and 49ers, I would say they have some questions, but they have injuries. Like this game that they have to play against the Rams next week.
Yeah.
Play it in the hospital. Just go play Madden against each other. There's everybody's out.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Kupp, Debo. And this was the rematch of like the NFC Championship like 3 years ago.
Yep.
And it just sucks that we're going to get a terrible game because everybody's hurt. But, that's football for you. Let's move on to, I believe, what was the only overtime game of the week. Seahawks visiting New England. Seahawks also 2-0. I heard they didn't look great. Obviously, going into overtime with the Patriots is not a good thing, especially how bad the Patriots are this year. But Jason Myers, 31-yard field goal to win the game in overtime.
Yep. Geno looked good. I mean, Geno's just kind of having that same kind of run he's been having the past few years. I'm excited to see how he keeps going. The Patriots are a frisky team. I think they've proven that in the first 2 weeks that they're not to be slept on. I mean, they beat the Bengals. So that's an exciting thing. So I'm excited to see how the Patriots keep going with this, because they obviously can't get too high and mighty from these, just because we know that their team's not that good. So, but I think as long as Jacoby Brissett keeps slinging it, I think they're going to find themselves getting a couple wins. Do I think they make it out of the top 7 draft picks? Probably not. I think they will slow down at one point. But right now they're looking pretty solid, and a team that you kind of have to take a lot more serious than I think a lot of people thought in going into the year.
Yeah, it's really weird to see how the divisions are shaping up at this moment. Seahawks being 2-0, Vikings being 2-0, and then the 49ers being 1-1, and then the Packers on the other side, or the Bears, Lions, all 1-1 or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Caden, any thoughts on this game? I know you saw the Seahawks kind of play against the Broncos week 1, so just them playing against the Patriots, did a 3-point win maybe impress you, or any thoughts about that?
I mean, the Broncos aren't really anything to look at right now, so
No.
I think the fact that we were within 6 is pretty good. But the one note I had about the Broncos, I mean, DK and Jigba going for 130 and 117 really helps out Geno when you have them. But when they played the Broncos, I don't think either of them went for nothing. So
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
It's all Tyler Lockett.
Geno Smith having those two helping him is for sure. And Zach Charbonnet also, I feel like, looks pretty good. He didn't have the best game, but he's not looking
And then
bad.
once they get Kenneth Walker back,
Yep.
might be a little scary. So, DK, 10 receptions, 129 yards, a touchdown. He had that one, really deep ball on the other things of this week. So, again, I think we got to just, looking going forward, be cognizant that the Patriots are going to be maybe a walkover game for some of these teams.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be like an instant walkover. It's going to be gritty, grinded out games. But the Patriots should be a lot of guaranteed wins for a lot of teams in the NFL.
Yep.
The Seahawks, another win, and proof to 2-0. Can't take away a win. Move on to Washington, where I believe the what is it? The chief of the tribe recently said he wants the team named back the Washington Redskins.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that's the case for everybody's sake, because everybody wants that name back. But they get their first win with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. He didn't play great by any means, but the Giants aren't good at all. So
Yeah, the Giants suck. I mean, that's just there's no really way to bounce around it. I think at this point we're not that far away from them tanking in a way. Like, it's week 3 coming up, and we might already be talking about a team tanking. They look and play like shit. I think you could have anybody else in that backfield, and they would be playing better. Daniel Jones, just not that good. He hasn't been for a while. I know last year he was hurt, but I don't know. He has not looked good this year. Jane Daniels, I actually think, in terms of rookies, like, he's actually doing pretty good. The only thing I'm worried about with him, and this is a lot of people's worry, is his health and him staying healthy, because there was one play where he got twisted up and it kind of looked like it could have been bad there for a second, but then he kept playing and he was fine. But, he's not really built like Lamar or Josh Allen or these guys who can run like that. So he's just got to be careful. I think his coach needs to tell him to get down, because, like I said, he's not built to take and sustain that many hits. But if he can get down, he's a versatile guy in that backfield. I don't know. I think he's got a really high ceiling. If he can stay healthy, I think they're looking pretty good. They move the ball well. Robinson looks amazing, going for 133 yards. But, yeah, I think Washington is a team that you do got to kind of take seriously a little bit. I think they're sneaky. I don't think they will be favorited in 90% of their games, but they're a team that if you don't play them like you play everybody else, they could sneak up and steal one from a big team. We kind of talked about that in the preview as well. So I'm interested to see how they go. But the Giants, I mean, you might as well bench Daniel Jones. I know you paid him a lot of money, but at this point it doesn't matter. You got to
send Daniel Jones to the same prison as P. Diddy for all the crimes they're doing in New York. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Daniel Jones is that bad.
Yeah, no, he's not great.
Good human being, bad quarterback.
Yep.
Well, some people can't say that. So some people, bad human being, bad quarterback.
Yep.
Good human being,
Bad quarterback.
also good quarterback.
Yeah.
Those are rare. No, I'm just kidding.
Bad human being, good quarterback.
Yeah, bad human. Yeah,
We know a couple.
we know a couple of those.
Yeah.
No, but the Giants. Yeah, no, I agree. They stink. Commanders. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. They're gonna put up some fighting games against some teams that might shock some people. But yeah, Jaden Daniels looked all right to me. He didn't look great in my eyes, but a win is a win, and he is the no rookie quarterback is still throwing touchdown.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Wow.
So that sucks for all of them. But I guess Caleb Williams has a chance to do it against the terrible Colts defense this week. So that's good news. But any thoughts on the Commanders-Giants game?
Malik Neighbors is the real deal.
Dog.
Maybe it's because he's getting 18 targets, but
Yeah.
I mean he's playing great.
Get him a damn quarterback.
Yeah, with a quarterback he'd be amazing. Jaden Daniels, I thought same thing as Jackson. I didn't think he had the worst game in the world. I feel like his rushing really helped him in that aspect, giving him another 44 yards. But the biggest thing about his health, I just hope he's not reminiscent of the last Washington quarterback we saw that was this athletically gifted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we won't say his name.
We won't say his name. He likes croissants though.
Yeah, he loves croissants.
A lot.
Too much. So I'm going to say croissants got him fired from his job.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. The Commanders, gritty win, 1-1 going into next week. I think that means they're at the top of the NFC North, or as of right now, or NFC, what is it? East. The top of the NFC East as of right now. So, and if they get the Redskins name back, that's another win right there. So that's 2-1 if you look at the record.
They have one more win than everyone else on the season.
Yeah, no bye weeks yet. All right, we'll move on to the worst team in the NFL and the worst quarterback possibly in the NFL. Poor guy.
Backup quarterback.
Yeah, backup quarterback now. The Chargers and Jim Harbaugh stomp in to Carolina and beat them 26-3. And yes, the big news is Bryce Young is now benched.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking about this with some people last night of like, it is weird when he was getting drafted. Like, he was the number one guy. Like, and there was nobody who was questioning that at all.
Yeah.
Like, it was like such a accepted thing that this guy was going to be the number one. He was going to be the best quarterback in the draft, in the same draft that C.J. Stroud was in. So, I don't know. It's just tough. I think maybe if he was on a better team, I think he'd be able to maybe, grow a little bit.
No.
But
Grow.
No, not grow, but progress.
There we
I
go.
think is a better way to put it. But
Dude's like 4'8".
yeah, I think it's just we're in such a time right now where we expect these rookie quarterbacks to come in and be ready to be the best in the league in their first or second year. Whereas, I feel like Bryce Young could have benefited from a couple years kind of studying under somebody. Like they should have gone out and got like a vet guy.
They have one. They should have just been playing him.
Exactly. So, and like also the fact that Bryce Young like didn't play in the preseason at all is ridiculous. Like I don't understand that. But I mean, you got a guy who knows how to win, Andy Dalton, and maybe he can turn some things around. But Bryce Young is a big part of it. But I don't know. I think that team systematically down to its base is just terrible.
From general managers all the way to just equipment staff. We'll give equipment staff the benefit of the doubt, but just Intel equipment staff, bad organization.
Yep.
And we'll leave the kitchen people out of this too. They're probably good at their jobs as well. Any thoughts on this game, or just for maybe, I guess, both teams going forward? Two different paths.
I don't know if Andy Dalton improves the Panthers' odds that much, really.
No.
I mean, when was the last time we've seen Andy Dalton play a snap, though? Did he play it all last year?
I think he played like 1 or 2 games last year when Bryce Young got hurt, I believe.
Yeah, it's
Last year, no, that was Jameis. Jameis was the backup for the Saints.
Mm.
But no, he did play
I think you're right.
he played like 2 games, and I think Bryce Young like sprained his ankle or got a concussion or something last year.
Yeah, I don't know. Like what was just said, that just whole organization is it's just tough right now.
Did you just call him Willie
Who?
Jackson?
No.
Oh, I thought you said.
I did too.
You definitely said like Willie just said.
I said, well, I said like we, I think.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was like, that's funny.
No, but thanks, you really threw me off there.
Sorry.
No, you're good. J.K. Dobbins looks really good, and
Mhm.
Quentin Johnston, I think, also looked pretty good. He had that crazy
Oh yeah.
touchdown.
He's looking really good this year.
Compared to, last year he looked terrible. So
Pardon my take, said it. Did Jim Harbaugh turn this guy, like he turned devil magic so this guy could actually catch a football?
I was about to say, I mean, to have that many people notice that you can't catch the ball, you got to be getting open a lot. So, I mean, if he can learn how to catch the ball, which it looks like he might have, he could be dangerous, and this Charger team could be a little scary.
Yeah.
6 targets, 5 receptions. He's catching the ball.
He's catching it. Like you said, J.K. Dobbins, too. He's been special this year. 17 carries, 131 yards. They absolutely dominated the Panthers. Chargers now 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Tied, I guess, for the top of the AFC West. They look good. Jim Harbaugh might be doing something with his team. So that's good news for the one Los Angeles Chargers fan that probably exists somewhere. All right, we'll move on to Jacksonville. Cleveland Browns sadly beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're beating a division opponent, and I'm upset because Deshaun Watson is employed by that team.
Yeah.
Apparently, he didn't even look that bad this week. I know he ran in for a touchdown. I didn't really see the whole game for that. But Jacksonville, I mean, they're kind of looking disappointing to start off the year. Your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, this game was just kind of like a boring the whole thing. Like, even when it came on Red Zone, it's like, I don't care. Like, go somewhere else. Like, the Jacksonville team's just kind of hard to watch. They're not that great. You have some sparks with, Thomas Jr. and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's just every time they touch the field, it's just kind of like an okay experience. The Browns, they're looking okay. I don't know. I think Jameis, I still think should be the quarterback right now for this team. I think Jameis might actually play better than Deshaun is, especially if Deshaun has all these things going on outside of the field that may be messing with him a little bit. So, I don't know. Interested to see how the Jaguars kind of shake back from this. It's a bad start to the year. But other than that, I'm not sure. Not a game that I saw too much of, except for like literally Deshaun Watson running the ball, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Willie just said, pretty mediocre, pretty boring game. Nothing. Trevor Lawrence, I don't feel like it's not his fault that he's playing so bad, but the offensive line is terrible.
I think Doug Peterson kind of sucks.
Yeah.
That's fair too. But
Like a Super Bowl coach, but I think he kind of sucks.
yeah,
What'd you say, the running game?
The O-line.
Oh, the O-line.
It's terrible. He just doesn't seem like he really has a chance up there. But, I mean, Etienne isn't really playing that well either at the beginning of the season. He doesn't really have any receivers to help him out. And, same thing, though. But the Browns, I think, are also very mediocre in their own right.
I agree.
A criminal at quarterback. Their star wide receivers is Jerry Jeudy.
he might hate Jerry Jeudy worse than he hates Deshaun Watson.
I don't hate Jerry Jeudy. I got nothing wrong with the dude. He just wants to start catching balls when he leaves Denver. It's interesting to me. That's all.
Yeah. Let's also put Deshaun Watson in that same jail as P. Diddy.
They might. Never mind.
Don't say it. All right. That was terrible. I did hear about, I think this came out today. Do you guys remember when Deshaun Watson restructured his contract this offseason?
Yep.
I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
Apparently something in that says if he gets suspended one more time, they can get off like all the money.
Mm-hmm. Quietly did that.
Quietly did that. That report came out like early this morning.
Yeah.
Like nobody saw it.
Jeez.
Or maybe it was yesterday morning. I think it was yesterday morning. But
yesterday morning. Morning.
But yeah. So if
like any suspension,
if the NFL suspends him, like not the Cleveland Browns, but if the NFL suspends him,
they have the option to dump all the money.
Yeah, which might be huge coming up here very soon, and he might never play again. Hopefully,
that might save that organization.
It might.
They're going to get
Kevin Stefanski's job.
A lot of money by doing that.
Yeah, and might save Kevin Stefanski's job, and you can just put in Jameis Winston and get all that money. It can all be so simple. Do the right thing, Roger Goodell, for once in your life. Do the right thing. All right, we'll move on to the last game of the first, 10-game slate this week?
It was insane.
The Deca box on Red Zone?
Yeah. My mind was racing.
Too much stimulation. Last game of the first 10-game slate. The Raiders go into Baltimore and upset the Baltimore Ravens. Gardner Minshew, dog, he looked amazing. Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers looked amazing. Derrick Henry did all right, better game than he had in game one. And the Ravens just kind of struggle right now, 0-2. I don't want to say suck, but they kind of struggling.
Yeah, I mean, this is not too far off of I think where the Ravens found themselves kind of at this point. I think they had in their minds they realistically saw themselves being maybe 1-1 past this week, but now they sit here 0-2. They got to figure something out. I feel like there's just so many like contradicting ideas going on in that team. Like you got Todd Monken, and then you got Lamar, and then you got Harbaugh, and I feel like all of them want to do something different. And I feel like it's meshing weird, and it's kind of like leading the team astray in a way. And I'm not sure why. I put this loss more on the defense than the offense.
Yeah, giving up 26 points to the Raiders at home is bad. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the Ravens are going to be fine. I don't think it's a panic button situation. I just think they need to figure out what's going on. And I don't know. I think Derrick Henry got a little bit more involved this week. He should be more involved. I think if you're handing the ball off, it should be to him. He's old, but I mean, like, realistically, I mean, is he on a 1 year right now?
2 years, I believe.
2 year? I mean, that's what I'm saying, bro. Give him like 25, 30 carries a game. Let him just go for his last 2 years probably. And then just let him run. He can help your team out so much, get those small yards. So that takes a lot of pressure off it. But, yeah, the defense got to lock up a little bit and not let a team like the Raiders do what they did today. So I think maybe it is a little bit of, playing down their competition. And then they kind of got put on their back heel and then kind of had to backpedal the entire game. But I don't know. Yeah, I think the Raiders are stacked full of guys who can make a difference. Brock Bowers is a guy who I think is going to be a dominant force at tight end for the next couple years as long as he stays healthy. And that's somebody people are going to have to worry about. Adams, we all know who he, Hall of Famer. We all know who he is. Like, he's going to continue to be that guy. The only thing the Raiders have to worry about is the inconsistency from Gardner because it will happen.
Oh, yeah.
It will. Like, he'll have a game like this one where he almost threw for 300 yards and a touchdown. Next week, he could throw for 150, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Like, it's very all over the place, which is why he hasn't been a starting quarterback in most of his career. But honestly, the Raiders will have a pretty solid season, maybe even be sniffing at like a wild card if they can somehow get Gardner to have more good than bad games.
Yeah, agreed. Thoughts for you?
Agree with Derrick Henry again. I mean, he's averaging 4.7 yards a carry. That's quite good. So definitely think he should be used more. The wide receivers for the Ravens even all looked great. Everyone getting involved. I don't know. Just tough game. Like you said, I just think they need to figure some things out offensively. Look a little sloppy. But like you said, defense, you can't let the Raiders score 26 points on you. That's rough. Unless you, like you said, maybe the Raiders are just that good this year.
We'll find out.
I hope not.
I do agree with what both you guys said. Offensively, I think, pardon my take, also mentioned this. It's a thing where in Tennessee, the Titans had one identity. It was hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, and we'll play around that.
Mm-hmm.
In Baltimore, the last couple of years, it's kind of also run the ball, but a lot has been focused on Lamar rushing as well.
Yeah.
And then now you have guys like Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, who are all these guys that are studs that need to get involved, and it's just a weird dynamic of who knows what they really want their identity to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're really confused about. And I don't know how quick it's going to get solved because, like you said, they got 3 different heads in there that I think all want 3 different things. So, interesting game in Baltimore. I know Trey's probably upset. Probably a bad birthday present. So, I guess he has one chance next week too for his birthday. But terrible game for the Ravens. So, all right. Well, we will take a break. Jackson's going to tell you guys about Verb Energy bars this week, and then we'll come back and talk about the late slate.
Verb Energy bars give you that extra boost that you need in the morning. They have an assortment of different types of bars, whether it's from caffeinated bars for the morning, as well as protein bars, whether in the morning or after your workouts. My personal favorite right now is the chocolate chip banana bread. It's awesome. Helps me get through the day, through the podcast, also through the work throughout the week. So right now, if you go onto their website, use code ROCKSOLID, you can get 30% off your next order. Verb Energy is the best way to start your day. Go check them out.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the show. We're going to break down the second half of the slate on Sunday. Starting off in Arizona, where Kyler Murray looked amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, he really showed his full potential right there. I mean, granted, we do have to understand that the Rams are extremely banged up.
Yeah.
I think like half of their line is out. So that's definitely a factor. But, I mean, a couple guys don't keep you from getting beat by 41. So Cardinals were taking this game no matter what. I don't know. After last week's game against the Bills, I think everyone kind of got put on notice about the Cardinals. Excited to see how they keep playing and see how the Rams bounce back.
Their offense is so fun to watch. Thoughts on this game?
I mean, Marvis Henderson Jr. breakout game. I'm sure everyone recognized that. 4 receptions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, like you said, Kyler Murray, great game. On the other side of the ball, Kyron Williams, terrible game.
Yeah.
It's rough. You can't have that from your leading running back. But like you said, it's
no O-line.
yeah. And 31 points, there's not much saving that.
Yeah. James Conner looked great. 21 carries, 122 yards, 1 touchdown. I don't really have any other notes besides this Cardinals team is kind of fun.
No, yeah.
I think we said that at the beginning of the year, too, that this was going to be a good offense. They were going to shock some teams the way they played. Defense held up great. Again, nobody's really playing for the Rams, so I guess we have to look a couple weeks down the road to really know if they can sustain this. But offense was incredible, and I think we're finally seeing what a healthy Kyler Murray could do and a undistracted Kyler Murray can do. And, they had a couple instances or issues in the years past of maybe some distractions in the locker room or whatnot, but different coaches, all that. He looks great. You've got to remember he's a first overall pick and a Heisman. So, and didn't he get drafted 9th in the MLB too? That's absolutely insane that you're able to do that. All right, well, that was my only notes for that game. We'll move on to Caden. You wanna do this one?
Yeah, sure. We'll be moving on to Denver, Colorado, where the Donkeys could not produce a single touchdown. They couldn't produce a run game. That's about it. No, I don't know. Bo Nix had a better game. It's still 2 interceptions. It's still, I think, same thing, just rookie mistakes. And he's really just trying to force the ball to Cortland Sutton, it looks like, because that's all of his interceptions have been on Cortland Sutton targets. I think that's very, I don't know. I think, like I said, he's just trying to make a play and to the one guy who's been there the longest and is known for being a playmaker. The next side of that, Bo Nix, again, is our leading rusher. 4 rushes for 25 yards. Can't let that happen. The running backs have been terrible. Defense looked fine. You hold them to, 1 touchdown, a few field goals. Justin Fields, I thought, looked pretty good out there. He might have secured his spot at number 1 last game. George Pickens, I thought, looked pretty good. He would have looked really good if that pass didn't get called back, thankfully. That was rough. We let Najee Harris have 69 yards. Can't let that happen. That's terrible. It was just a rough game, all in all, I think. And you really, I am broken down every year. And then
You could hear it in his voice right now.
no, and then I'm like, all right, we're going to suck. And then for some reason, I get my hopes up, and then we lose the first 2 games, and I slowly become broken down again.
Do you guys remember, I think it was 3 years ago, I believe it's when you had Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock competing for that quarterback spot. You guys went 3-0 to start the year, and against like the Giants, Jets, and someone else, and everybody was like, this is the year, this is the year.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it's been bad starts for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah,
including having, when Russell Wilson was here as well. TJ Watt, he's a fucking issue.
Yeah.
I don't know how banged up the Broncos O-line is, or if that's just how bad they are, or if that's just how good TJ Watt is. But TJ Watt looked very dominant. Like you said, Justin Fields, I thought played somewhat decent, not the greatest game, but 2-0 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're holding. It's not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to win games and sustain this when, you're just scoring 13 points, and I think they scored 18 points last week, but. I mean, they look great right now. They're boring. They're so boring to watch. The Steelers are maybe one of the most horrendous football teams to like watch and enjoy. But 2-0. Thoughts for you on this game?
That's Steelers' defensive line is probably the best in the NFL. To be honest with you, it's the only one of the only defensive lines in the NFL that can like take over a game and really shut it down. We saw that on the Falcons side.
Yeah.
I do think the Steelers are not very good though. Still, I think they kind of beat up on them, or not even beat up. They just only were able to kick field goals against an Atlanta team that just wasn't in the groove offensively yet, and wasn't able to score once in this game. I mean, the Broncos are just kind of in that massive rebuild phase, and they only beat them by that much. So I don't know. It's kind of shaky both ways. I see potential in Bo Nix. I think once he gets more used to the speed of the game, I think he could be good. He's an older guy, so he doesn't have like as long, but I mean, still pretty long career you can have being his age, but interested to see how he grows throughout the year. I think the Broncos do snag a decent amount of wins this year in terms of like what their projected is. I think they win around that, if anything, maybe like 6 at this point. I was thinking maybe a little bit higher. I was kind of with Caden. I had a little bit more hope going into this year of how they were going to play. And they've kind of like diminished those hopes a little bit, but I do think that you can see some upsides in the Broncos, and I think when they're going to have at least 4 or 5 games where they do capture that lightning in a bottle, and they do have a good game and kind of beat some people. But yeah, Steelers are they're a hard defensive team to play against, and if you don't have the line to stop TJ Watt and all those guys on the line, they're a hard team to get any yards on or score on.
Agreed. Any last thoughts on your Donkeys going into next week? I don't know who you guys play, but
I don't remember who we play either. I don't even want to look, if I'm going to be honest with you. But I don't know. It's
it's at Tampa.
Oh, that's great. You'd love to hear that. I don't know. It's whatever now. You know what? At this point for myself, no expectations for the rest of the year. I'm just kind of like, fuck it. I know we're in a rebuild, and like I said, I did get my hopes up a little bit, and I've been humbled. And yeah, so whatever happens, happens. I hope we get the most progression out of Bo Nix, and maybe hopefully we lose a lot of games and get a good draft pick.
Yep, could happen. Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll move on to another AFC West team, but this one, they are back-to-back Super Bowl champions. They are 2-0 this year, and they squeak out a win against the Cincinnati Bengals in Arrowhead, or what's once called Burrowhead, 26-25 on a 51-yard field goal from Harrison Butker. Some controversy towards the end of this game, but I guess, we say it every week, just like Scotty Scheffler, the Chiefs are inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely look a little bit more beatable this year, I think, than past years have looked. They looked kind of beatable last year. This year, they kind of, if you're a top-tier team, you can go and do these games and I think have a decent chance to win.
Is that a Bengals thing or is that a Chiefs thing? Because just in general, because the Chiefs, I mean, they looked pretty dominant against the Ravens for the most part last week, but I feel like their biggest issue is always with the Bengals.
Yeah.
Maybe not every other AFC contender, but with the Bengals just in general.
Yeah, I mean, some teams just have other teams' numbers, I feel like, and they kind of just know how to play when they go against these type of teams. I think the Bengals are that with the Chiefs. But I'm excited to see how the season goes for the Bengals. They're 0-2 right now. That's not going to stay like that. They're in that same boat as the Ravens. They don't panic. There's no reason to panic about them. They're going to pick it up. They're going to be fine. Chiefs, they're the Chiefs. They're going to get, some calls going their way. That's not why they win games, but it's a factor, but at the end of the day, you still have an opportunity to win the game. You need to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Mahomes has the record for most picks called back for penalty. I think it was.
I have no clue. Maybe
I saw a tweet that was like the stats since 2019. He's had like 16. It's like in the teens interceptions reversed from
that's
a
crazy.
defensive penalty, and it leads the NFL, I think, in all-time history.
That's insane.
So I don't know. You can say what you want about the refs, but I do believe at the end of the day, 90% of the time when you get a bad call, it sucks. 90% of the time you have a chance to win the game, and that's on you to finish out. So,
and both things can be true.
Yeah.
It could be a bad call, or it could be a call that maybe the fans don't want to see, but it was probably also a pass interference.
No, 100%. So, I don't know. You can take away what you want to take away, but Joe Burrow looked good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was just a great game. This is a possible AFC Championship type of matchup here. Bengals should realistically be 1-1 right now. I think that last week was just kind of a week one kind of stutter to start the season out, and I think if the Bengals played the Patriots next week, I think the Bengals beat them by 30. Like, I don't know. But this is a good game, and I hope that we see these two again here soon.
And his name is Cameron Taylor-Britt, correct? The defensive back on the Bengals who first talked a lot about Xavier Worthy just being fast, and then maybe had the best interception I've ever seen live on a football game. It was incredible that he caught that. It was literally like an Odell catch as a defensive back, which was pretty cool. But then I think Joe Burrow fumbled it 4 plays later, and that was kind of the game right there. Obviously, it lasted till the end, but you can't lose opportunities. Thoughts on this game and your guys' division rival? I wouldn't call it a rivalry, but
they're rivals, but it's not a good one. Joe, good game for Joe. Bad game for Patrick. I mean, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions.
He only had 150 yards too, right?
150 yards, 18 for 25.
Travis Kelce did nothing.
Yeah, Travis Kelce did nothing. Isaiah Pacheco had a pretty good game. I think Jamar Chase is kind of I don't know, he's kind of worrisome. So for last week he had a pretty good game. He's 6 for 6, 60 yards. This game 4 yards, 35.
I think he just needs to get T. Higgins back, and that will open up, I think, the field for a lot of them. But
I think so too.
And Mike Gesicki looked good this week.
But he had 9 targets, 91 yards. But I agree, probably 2 of the best teams in the AFC, possibly the AFC Championship again. Yeah,
very interesting game. Again, I don't think we can. As a Bengals fan, maybe you can argue for a day that this is, a game that the refs might have, helped the Kansas City Chiefs win. But at the end of the day, you will always have a chance to win if you give yourself a chance to win. And the Chiefs are just the Chiefs, and you're going to have to live with some of those calls. And the fact that even when Patrick Mahomes is having a bad game, or the Chiefs overall are having a bad game, they're somehow still going to be in position to win. And once they have the chance, Harrison Butker can make 51-yard field goals. I think we've seen that enough. So, all right, we will move on to the last game of Sunday. It was the number 1 overall pick going into the number 2 overall pick of last year. Caleb Williams versus C.J. Stroud. Bears at Texans. The Texans improved to 2-0, but in my opinion, they didn't look very good. Maybe that is just the Bears' defense being somewhat solid, but only putting up 19 points at home in your home opener. I don't know. Question marks for me, but tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I think, there's 2 things you can take away from this game. You could either take away that, maybe the Texans are just a step back from where they were last year, and maybe they, need a little time to get going again. Or, you could look at the Bears and realistically say they're Caleb Williams being a solid quarterback away from being a serious problem in the NFL. So I think part of it is on Williams, part of it's on his line. He's getting rocked back there for sure. If they can shore up that line, and Caleb can kind of get a lot more comfortable. I think he's comfortable. I think he's just got to get used to the speed of the game and stuff like that. Once he gets used to that and understands that we're in the NFL now, everyone's as fast as you are. Everyone's fast on defense, like everybody. So I think once he gets used to that and kind of gets out of that college mindset where he used to just be able to break off, running around the backfield, breaking sacks. You can't really do that in the NFL. And maybe you get lucky, do it a couple times a season, but realistically, you're never really going to get away with it. So I think once he kind of gets used to that, I think he's going to pick it up. But the C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins connection is going to be a problem for a lot of teams this year.
It's ridiculous.
They're perfect together, and then he also has other targets as well. So Texans are looking good, and I think they're going to keep getting better.
Thoughts for you?
I think with just on the topic of Nico Collins, never mind, Tank Dell, I think has taken a major step back with Stephon Diggs getting added to the roster. He has not done anything in the last 2 weeks. Mainly know that because he's on my fantasy team, so he's really been hurting me.
I didn't want to say that.
But another not very good game for Caleb Williams. I mean, I don't know. It's still game 2. If I'm not going to shit on Bo Nix, I can't shit on Caleb Williams because they both have basically had the 2 very similar games. Bo Nix came out with more yards than both of them, but that doesn't matter. No, I agree. I think the Houston, is either not as good or I honestly just think it's the Bears defense is that good.
Yeah, the Bears defense is an issue.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it really has much to do with the Texans slowing down, but I just think the Bears defense is gonna save that team in a lot of games this year.
Yeah, so Texans improve to 2-0. Bears fall to 1-1. The Bears go into Indianapolis next week, so Caleb Williams has definitely a chance to throw his first passing touchdown in the NFL. The Texans, I don't even know who they play next week, but I'm sure they'll be okay. Especially with like you guys said, C.J. Stroud's Nico Collins is a crazy, just came out of nowhere, and it's working perfectly. So, all right, well, Jackson, take it away.
Yeah, no, the Falcons came out, and this is the first time I've seen them play
Monday, any primetime game?
2020. This is what we expect. This is what Falcons fans expected the team to look like, how they played tonight, with Kirk Cousins kind of balling a little bit. Bijan Robinson getting a ton of carries, ton of yards. Darnell Mooney had a great game as well. He really popped through and kind of had himself a night. It was just fun to watch as a Falcons fan who's been just kind of watching just piss poor football for the past 2-3 years. It's been kind of tough. So I don't know. It's nice to see the boys go out there and actually play their hearts out. Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons, that whole defense is ridiculous. So I'm glad they're playing to their potential. And I don't know, whatever they fixed in between weeks for the Kirk Cousins to be able to move around a lot more, it definitely helped. And hopefully they can build off of that. This was a game we were supposed to lose for sure. This was not a win in our column. I was honestly pretty scared because my idea, I wasn't too scared, but we would have been kind of where we were at anyway because I expected to lose to Eagles, and then next week I was expecting to lose to the Chiefs, and then I was expecting us to beat the Steelers last week. So we weren't going to be too far off schedule if we lost this game in my mind, but it's just awesome to see them actually clutch up, take it to the end, and fight back and win. And it was awesome seeing Kirk Cousins, get that game-winning drive going, get the ice in his veins. And I don't know, it's just fun watching the Falcons for some reason.
Kirko Banks, yeah. Tell me about that last drive real quick. I know you probably got to watch it this morning back for sure, but tell me, I think it was 3 passes, 53 yards, and then, they pull off a great route Drake London has on Darius Slay, and tell me a little about that.
Yeah, it was just methodical. It's exactly what you want from a passer like Kirk, a guy who's been in the league for as long as he has. He's got weapons. He had a weapon in Minnesota. I don't know if you would say he had weapons for a lot of the time, except for maybe Stephon.
Thielen, and Jordan Addison a little bit. But
yeah, but I mean, he's got these younger, quicker guys now, and he can really deal it where he wants to. And as long as that offensive line gives him time, he can do what he did on that drive, which is just chop, throw, deep one to Darnell, and then was just able to kind of find his place and score. He almost had one, I think it was Ray McLeod, almost caught it, but it got broken up. Could have been a pass interference. Didn't really matter. We ended up scoring next play. So it's just, it's awesome, and you can tell by the way that the Falcons celebrated when they did it, especially when Jesse Bates got the pick on the next drive to seal it. You could tell by the way that everyone reacted that they needed that. They wanted that win bad, especially how we played last week. So it's a good thing moving forward. Excited to see what we do for the rest of the season.
Your thoughts?
I think it's pretty much how I would expect the game to go. Honestly, I thought the Falcons, you say you think it was a loss, and I guess theoretically it should have been, but I still am just not sold on the Eagles at all. So I feel like I thought you guys would have won by more, but considering the game you had last week, I mean, like you said, this is kind of how we expected them to come out. A good game from Kirk, good game from Bijan. All the wide receivers were having a good game, and then I feel like typical Eagles football. Saquon had a good game, but I don't know.
Choke that game away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he had a good game until he dropped that pass and lost the game.
Yeah, what a game. I mean, it was an incredible game to watch, just sitting here on the couch watching it. It was awesome, just perfect, cap to week 2 of the NFL. Eagles were pretty much, I thought, in control the whole game. It started off a little slow, but it seemed like Saquon, just them running the ball down the Falcons' throats. So it was just, it seemed like the Eagles were in control for most of the game. Devontae Smith looked great whenever he got targeted, which should have been more. Obviously, they didn't have A.J. Brown yesterday. But, yeah, and then it just comes to a point where Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley mess up on a couple plays back-to-back. And also Nick Sirianni, not a very good night from him last night either. They had plenty of chances to take field goals, and I know they're known for their tush-push bullshit, but, again, at some point, take your points, and you might not have lost by 1.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of do agree with what he did at the end of the game. They had a chance to either go for 6 or go for the first down, whatever, or take your 3. They take their 3, they go up 6, but then obviously Atlanta goes down the field and scores. And they only had a minute 40 or something like that, a minute. It was less than that. It might have been a minute 15 or something, and no timeouts.
Yeah,
and they just stomped down the field. So
what was the whole drive like? It was either 30 seconds or 50. No, it's 53 yards. I think it was a 30-second drive though.
Yeah, it was
30 seconds.
Nothing. It was Nick Sirianni. I don't think that was a terrible decision on taking your 3 points when you can go up 6, because that forces them to have to score a touchdown. But still, and then they do. So that's the bad thing that comes out on this. But
football, baby.
I think a couple notes. One I had was, do you see Drake London's touchdown celebration?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost cost us the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, though.
Okay.
They can do it in college.
Well, yeah, and also it's one of those things where when you got a guy like Koo, you feel a little bit more confident to kind of do something like that, but also put the fucking flag in your pocket, dude. Really?
Oh, no, he was tripping.
Let the guys celebrate. He's like, I'm going to kill all the Philadelphia fans. No, it's just a celebration that everyone's seen a million times. Keep the flag in the pocket. There's no reason to bring it out. But when you got Koo, you don't need to worry too much.
No.
Kirk Cousins, Kirko Bangs, he looked great.
You like that?
You like that? It was kind of cool to see him get energetic after the game and be excited for his teammates and whatnot. It's always fun to see. Bijan, like you said, looked great. Eagles have a lot of question marks. I'm very excited to listen to Pardon My Take tomorrow so I could hear Max yell about the Philadelphia Eagles on that tomorrow.
Yeah, and I don't know how blessed I got, but the Chiefs or the Falcons have back-to-back primetime games.
Yep, Sunday Night Football next week.
Sunday night next week against the Chiefs. Let's go, baby. Exceed my expectations. We're at home. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, we're going to film during that next week, too, so that's going to be... It's going to be a good one for you.
Yeah.
he doesn't sound very excited.
Nah, I mean, we'll see. If they play to their potential, I think they can give Chiefs a run for their money. I don't know about when, just because, Mahomes is Mahomes, and our defense is solid. If we can stop him, then I could see maybe. But, I don't know, with Chris Jones, I don't see Kirk being very mobile, so.
Yeah, true that. I did have one more note. Oh, yeah. The Philadelphia Eagles fan pregame, they had their little Monday Night Football thing, and it's the super fan who has his whole stomach tattooed with all the mascots of Philadelphia sports teams. He went up to chest bump Jason Kelce, and that dude's ACL is definitely gone.
Oh, yeah.
Gone.
1,000% gone.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, because he just was limping away, and I was like, this poor guy is he works a 9 to 5. He has to go to work tomorrow. Jason Kelce, he's living the life, a dream life right now.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have to go to work tomorrow, and even if he does, he just has to sit at a broadcast table.
Yeah.
This poor guy probably works his ass off, and now he has to walk into work tomorrow, and everybody's be like, "What the hell are you doing?" That was funny. What a great game though to watch. Good win by the Atlanta Falcons. I have really nothing else to say about that. And fuck the Eagles. All right, well, do the same thing as we did last week to wrap it up. Pick one game you're excited for going into next week. I'll start. I have one note on another game real quick. Ravens and Cowboys. Ravens are going to Dallas next week. Somehow The Ravens are -1 right now. Don't know how. Cowboys plus money at home. I get they struggled against the Saints, but that's just kind of a little crazy to me when the Ravens are 0-2. But my game of the week that I'm very excited for, the Detroit Lions are going into Arizona to play the Arizona Cardinals. It is a late slate game on Sunday. It is Fox, so I believe it will be Tom Brady calling that game as well. Lions have some things to prove, and the Cardinals are very exciting. Lions, when they're at their best, are a very high-scoring team, and the Cardinals scored 41 points last week, and their offense has looked electric. So that game is the one I'm going to definitely want to be tuned into. I would suggest you guys do the same. I think that has the potential to be game of the week.
Yeah, the one I'm looking at currently is the Eagles versus the Saints.
I would have let you get your cop-out answer of Chiefs at Falcons if you really wanted it.
I talked about it a little bit. That's the game I'm going to be watching the most closely. But in terms of the other games, though, I got to go Eagles Saints. I think this is a really good test. Can the Saints do it 3 times in a row? Especially back-to-back weeks against. Even if the Eagles are kind of struggling, the Eagles are a good team.
They're a playoff team.
They're a playoff team. So if the Saints can do it again, then we might be put on alert, and we'll see. So interested to see how. I got to see Jalen Hurts bounce back, and I got to see him play better. Like, he's got to do a little bit better. That whole team's got to get it together. Saquon's can keep doing what Saquon's doing, to be honest. He's doing all right. He's doing what he needs to do. And then see if Derek Carr can, what feels like for the first time in his career, really stay consistent and like keep balling out like he is.
Since he got hurt that one year, yes. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Caden, game of the week.
My game of the week is going to be the Texans and the Vikings. I think it's going to be a great test for the Vikings. Obviously, they're 2-0, doing better than, like I said, most people would expect. Texans might, to some people, have some question marks. I think more so for the Vikings, it's going to be a test for them. Texans are -2.5
on the road.
So, yeah, that's my game of the week. I think it's going to be a good game.
I agree.
And then, we'll definitely have to talk about the Chiefs and Falcons next week because I think that's also going to be game of the week possibility as well.
Yeah.
And then, there's really kind of a bad slate. Considering injuries, the Rams and Niners game I think would be great if we turn the injury bug off. But sadly, this is not Madden football. All right, well, any last notes on this week's NFL?
No.
Nope. I think we still got a little bit of time before we figure out who everyone really is. So.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt got added back to the Chiefs practice squad this morning.
Oh.
I forgot about that.
Nice.
Other than that, Dolphins placed 2 on IR. That was kind of expected.
Yep.
And why did they do that?
And then, Justin Fields, I'm pretty sure got the QB1 nod already going into week 3. So that's pretty much all the news so far. This will be released the morning of Thursday Night Football. It is Jets at Patriots, I believe, this week.
Yep.
I'll be tuned in. Obviously, I have nothing better to do on a Thursday night. All right, well, any last words for the people then?
No, sir.
Nope.
All right, well, we'll be back. We'll drop this Thursday, and then next week should officially be the time that we start recording on Sundays and dropping on Tuesdays. So that will change. That was all my fault this past week. So we'll be back at an earlier date after next week's NFL slate. Some exciting stuff. Playoff baseball's coming up as well. I'm going to be very excited for that, among others. Maybe Jackson will be excited. Maybe he won't. We have to find out soon. And other than that, my last thing I'll say is Texas is the #1 football team in the country. All right, go tell somebody you love them. You might just make their day. Peace.
Peace.